From the very beginning, when I first run for mayor 12 years ago, I tried to help everybody out. I was scared to hurt people's feelings. But right now, I think that's too much money for us to be spending, unless we can get it elsewhere. I mean, if we can get the federal government to throw in the money, or half of it, say, and get the provincial government to throw in the other half, we'd be doing fine. But as a municipality, we can't. And likely as not, we're not going to, we can't get on the phone and say, okay, Peter Harper, we need $26 million, and phone up Gordon Campbell there and say we need the other 26. It's not like they're going to say, okay, the check's in the mail, Eugene. So it's a good idea, and we've needed one for years and years. But there are other performing arts places in town. Every time I've been to the multiplex, it's been a performing art. You can go to the Civic Center. People can perform there. Or for that matter, they could, if they waited John Major out, he'd probably give us that bingo hall over there for practically nothing, because he doesn't want to be there. And if it's empty and he's paying taxes, if he's not a stupid man, he would unload it as quick as he could. So there's another couple of hundred seats. But to go out on a limb for $50 million, whatever it is, for the benefit of 1,000 people, that's a waste of money. So like I say, it's a good idea, but we don't have the money ourselves to build it. And if it were to go downtown, it should be built on stilts like that library. That's the smartest building we've got. That one won't flood.
The Performing Arts Center I'm not in favor of. It's kind of a burden towards the taxpayer, and at this point in time, with the federal government and provincial governments losing a lot of money, they will not support the capital project like they said they would with the sports center up at UNBC. They offered us about $5 million to go towards that, and we never received it. So we can't be depending on them for funds when it comes to things that aren't true necessities. We need to look at the times that we're in and decide that maybe right now is not the best time. In the future, it could be a great idea and a great part towards revitalizing our downtown, but right now it's unfeasible.
I think I reflect on what we did with CN Center and with the Aquatic Center. This doesn't have to be more complicated than some are suggesting. We need to challenge the group that wants to move that forward. It's certainly in my long-term plan because I was part of an organization as a volunteer 20 years ago almost, where we set the priorities for the major facilities. I worked on that as a volunteer, and the only one we haven't done of the 5 is the performing arts. But this doesn't have to be more complicated than some are suggesting and trying to find ways to sell assets. At the end of the day, this is going to be a significant investment for the city and the residents that will likely have to pay a fair bit of this. So what we need to do is challenge the group that's looking after this now to sharpen your pencil, clearly understand, and so that we understand as well what other levels of government have money available. Once you do that work, once you're clear as to the operational costs, then you come back and you tell us how much that is, and then we're going to ask people. We would do it the same way we did with the multiplex and the aquatic center. And it's not, people talk about a referendum. I think it's good that we ask people so they fully understand how their taxes may be spent, and they will be given that opportunity. And I think that is the way to go, but it's also the reality of the world that we live in. If we're going to borrow multi-million dollars, we need voter assent. In my opinion, the best way to do that, as we've seen in this community, is to ask them through referendum.
Well, the Performing Arts Center is the next major capital recreation project that should be undertaken by the City of Prince George, and we should not be distracted. That's what's next. The $51 million project is extremely ambitious, and I think it can happen in the next few years. Today is not the time for the city to inherit a lot of debt. I challenged the group, and I clearly see where the city should provide the seed commitment, and I do that. And I made this statement before it was in vogue, and I haven't had a lot of pushback on it. I believe that the City of Prince George owns the Playhouse Theatre. That is a very small facility on a very, very valuable piece of property that could have a greater impact on the performing arts if it was reinvested in a major performing arts center downtown. I believe it's of a value of about $6 million, and I would commit, council willing, to assign that $6 million allocation to a new performing arts center, and I would commit to transferring the operating budget from the Playhouse Theatre to the new performing arts center. I would commit to putting the weight and the influence of the mayor and council behind the performing arts center as a recreational cultural offering that should be supported by provincial and federal government, because it is a need of the city of Prince George's 77,000 people. But the argument should carry more traction than that for a number of reasons. Some of these amenities, if they're not hosted in the city of Prince George, aren't available to 2/3 of the province. It's not available south of Kamloops. And the arts and culture is important. And the city of Prince George and its residents that I'm so proud of very often step up to the plate and inherit some of the operating responsibility for these amenities in the city of Prince George for the benefit of all of the northern part of the province. And I believe that when we talk to the province and the federal government, we shouldn't be approaching it from the point of view that is so common that it's a third, a third, and a third. And sometimes one of the parties will forget to discover their third. We need to focus on this as a Northern BC amenity and do not look for the city of Prince George to come in with a full third. This is not that type of project. We need you to think about 65% of the province, and with that it should happen. And we'll bring influence, we'll bring some investment, but it would not be responsible for us, in my view, to be inheriting a substantial amount of recreational debt at this point in time.